Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Just looking at this at the moment. Is this going to come down? So, that new account I picked up, I did a trade there. I like that one. Clearly finding some support there. We had a channel of the break, new high. And I took that short there just on that one account. So, it's now locked with the rest of them. So, Tom, good morning. Yes, good morning, Campus. Karina, how are you? Exponential. And Daryl, how are you doing? So I have got this second monitor finally. The only problem is it was missing some bolts. So I couldn't attach it to my stand. So it stood on its own feet at the moment. But I should have another one coming tomorrow. So it's been an absolute ball ache, to be honest with you. To get these monitors, but I like them. I think they're okay. Just takes a little bit of getting used to the curve. And obviously the top one, that's tilted in a bit. It creates a little bit of reflection, but I don't think it's a major problem. So the thing is now I've got these monitors. I've now got two other charts as well, as you can see that one. Which is my second 2000 tick chart, and I've also got the 1000 tick chart above my head as well. So with the combination of those three, that will increase your chance of getting a setup. I have looked at that 1000 tick chart before, and it'd be quite good sometimes. When we may have a break and there's three green bars up, sometimes you'll get a high or low on the 1000. So it is worth looking at. I just haven't had the screen space for it lately. So I have got a camera stand which will lift this camera down here up a little bit higher, because you're seeing the bottom of my chin at the moment. But that should lift that up a bit. So at the moment really just looks like range. We've got no news. We had some earlier, didn't really do a great deal, but volume's been so low. The ATR's a little higher now, but some of these bars have been a bit higher. But let me just check. I can open orders. Submitted. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. Perfect. Close. Order cancelled. Order submitted. Close. Everything's order working. Canceled. Okay, so leg in a leg. So, Speedy, how you doing, buddy? Sean, have you switched room? Have you switched room? I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. You might have to update that one. Have you switched room? Are you about a different? No. There's in one of our. It's like our spare bedroom. There's like a corner alcove. But the trouble is, it keeps the camera's pointing at that back window. Yeah, it's pointing at the back window. So all I've done is just changed it from sort of like this to this. So I've just changed the angle a bit. So you shouldn't have a problem with that backlight so much. The trouble is when I don't know if anybody knows anything about photography, when you point a camera at a bright window, it messes with the exposure. So this should calm that down a bit, yeah. And I'm kind of in a corner at the moment, but the only trouble is I've got one of those flexi spot desks, and I've had my desktop on the desk. Now I've bought one of those contraptions that take it under the desk. It swivels as well, so I can get to the back of the wiring. So it's got off the desk. So at the moment I've got two of these 34-inch wide screens and my two 24-inch HP monitors, so I've got plenty of screen space at the moment. But we shouldn't have so much issues with the light, pointing the light. The trouble is, as the light changes throughout the day, it might get brighter or duller. It becomes a bit of a problem. No one puts lads in the corner. So I've got quick access out there. Don't worry about that. As long as I'm locked in with a bottle of single malt, I'm a happy camper. So I don't know why all of a sudden volume seems to have died off. It's been absolute crackers, isn't it, for a month or two or so. But yesterday, very low volume, and overnight as well, low volume. Has anybody shed any light? I don't know. Trouble is, when you're a retail trader and you spend most of your life in a bedroom, you kind of miss what's going on in the big world. When if you're working, I don't know, for banks or investment companies, you tend to be on the kind of forefront of all the up-to-date information, what's going on, and the reasons why. So I don't really know. I'll show you this. I noticed this on Marco's wall a couple of days ago. I don't know if you can read that. Probably not. I'll read it to you. I printed it out on some photographic paper, so I'm going to pop it on the wall somewhere. But it's a Mark Douglas quote. For those who have learned how to become consistent or broken through what I call the threshold of consistency, the money is not only within their grasp, they can virtually take it at will. I'm sure some will find this statement difficult to believe, but it's true. I really like that. Sometimes you read these statements and they just kind of make sense and they just say it all. So if I ever find anything, I tend to print it out and sort of pop it around me. I've got another one on the back wall there. Success is measured against achieving one's own goals and ambitions. Always do your best in everything and you will achieve success. Overcoming fear of failure will lead to success in the future. If you believe you can, you will succeed. So I like having those kind of mantras around you. I think they help sometimes with your psychology and just help keep you focused. I took that one, but only 6. That one there. Yeah, I kind of liked it, actually. We've got a channel with a break and a new high, and we've pushed down, finding a bit of support. There is a possible second entry short there. You may call that a triple test. I don't think it's the worst trade in the world if it happens, but I'm not too sure whether we've had a leg up, 2 legs back, and another leg up. So we may get up here a little bit higher. It's kind of, I don't know, like that. We've only, if we're coming from the bottom to the top, we've only kind of got halfway. So I'm guessing there were some sellers there. That was interesting. We pushed up and then dropped quickly. Sometimes the tendency is to think there's a lot of sellers there, let's just jump in, and it doesn't always work that way. We've got no news at the moment. I've got no news on my chart anywhere. Someone's put news at 839, 839. Is there? It may have been some low impact news. It may have created that little bit of volatility there. It wasn't a huge amount. You wouldn't notice it by looking at it now, but at the time, sometimes price... I mean, we may have got above here and a bunch of sellers are going, oh, I don't quite know. I wanted to go short. Yeah. I don't think it looks like a bad bar to go short. The only issue I have with this, the only thing that would make me hesitate is something like this. We've had a push up and we've made 1, 2, 3 attempts to go low. We couldn't retest this bottom. So that tells me this is more likely going to go up. So unfortunately, and in all fairness, if we're ranging, we've got a channel with a break and a new high. It's not a terrible looking entry. Unfortunately, how far did it go for? So you'd have squeezed 2 points out of it. But what I'm seeing here is we've pushed up and we've come down once, twice, 3 times, and we can't retest this bottom. So that tells me it's more likely going to go up for a second leg. So that little bit of volatility probably helped keep you out of the market there, didn't it? And rightly so, because that would have, depended on what you go for, may have created a loss. And although that ATR is a lot more improved now, it's still a 5-point risk. And that's not what you want. Market open, jump into a trade and end up in the red already. Excuse the pun. So yeah, I've got caught out on things like this before, where we make attempts to go lower, and I've got caught going short and it's gone higher. So I generally just try and be aware of that. The good thing about losing trades is you do learn, and it does help kind of, it's almost like twisting that screw, isn't it? It's about fine tuning it, just getting it so it just grips enough. So it is trading, you know, the longer you trade, it is about fine tuning. You know, most of us, when we've been doing it a while, can get it right majority of the time, but occasionally it does catch us all out. But, you know, if you took a... Excuse me just a second. Sorry about that. It was a wife, can't ignore it, can I? So let's just have a little look at this. So, yeah, see, Dan actually shows it makes sense. We've pushed that and we've tried once, twice, 3 times. Makes sense. Couple of attempts. I mean, if you let's just call that channel up with a break in a new high. 2 clear attempts to push lower. Couldn't get down here. Makes sense that it's going to go higher. So that may keep you out of that trade there. And it's exactly what we did. 2 legs, a leg up with a quick correction and another leg up. So good reason just to be cautious around here, thinking this is going to go a bit higher. That caught me out a week or 2 ago, somewhere around about there, and I remembered it. So it does, you know, these losses, they do give you a lesson. Reaction from something, yeah, who knows what it'd been. I mean, someone said there's some news that may be well looked at, that may be the case, but I'm guessing it's probably a low impact news. In fact, we can have a look actually. Let's see if it shows anything. What time did it happen? It's about 22. Nothing that I can see there. Unless it was some other type of news. I've got it down as US. I don't know. It could be Canadian or something. No, nothing. So nothing that I can see. Sometimes it does just have a little bit of a flicker, and you do ask the question why. Same again. We've done the same again. Bounce, bounce, bounce. So I would be careful about going short long there though, because it may have just broken out of the range and be coming back in, but my guess is it's probably going to go up a little bit higher. So hopefully tomorrow I can apply for another $1,000. In fact, I'm already above the threshold now. Let me have a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days on that. 7 days, but 5 are profitable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are profitable there. So 32 and 29. I could just do a micro on. Will give me that 10,000. I'm going to do that actually, just because I want to hit that target. So 33 and 29. 32 and 29. So 32, 29. Let's just take them out of the game. They're over the threshold. I've done five of the days have been profitable, so I just want to do a micro. I just want to hit that target. I mean, you know, what I could do is not take the payments and allow them to grow. Probably best to do that because I may miss out on the trade on those 2, but I really want to hit that $10,000. Nice lower high there. Yeah. yeah, it doesn't look bad, does it? My only slight worry about here is this, but triple test, you're probably going to trap some longs there. The thing is, we have had 2 legs up. We didn't quite get up here, but I don't think that really matters. So yeah, I don't think it was that bad there. And I think what makes it better is we've had a triple test here. I wouldn't want to go long there. We've got a channel down there. You expect to break in a new low, so you're quite likely going to trap traders there. So I think getting in there actually was okay. I think I was on the phone, wasn't I? So even just to those lows is 2 points. So plenty there, yeah. So I think that was okay. Now there is a second entry long here, but it hasn't triggered. So the trouble is we're struggling to get below there. So even if we did trigger that and come down more, we've had 2 legs now, and we do seem to be finding support around this midline. So I would certainly be inclined not to get into a trade here. Short. So we've struggled to get below here. I'm guessing a couple of legs back, you may have traders jumping in here for a long trade, maybe, you know, for the rest of the day or whatever. We do seem to be bouncing here, didn't we? So, you know, looking on the daily, it does look like we're due for a strong move up. So you never know, traders may pick that as a place to enter for the day and see how far they can get. So whenever we get partially sort of in this range, it tends to be there's strong buying there, strong buying there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here. Let's see how far we get down here. But we do seem to be finding some support. Now, why exactly that is, I suppose it could be. I suppose if you've got buyers there trying to push this higher, whenever price gets close to it, people may add. Devon, good morning to you, my friend. So maybe there is something bigger down there that actually fits kind of nice, I think. Yeah, see, quick look on this 1,000 tick chart. This kind of looks a bit clearer. We look like, this to me looks like it's a leg and a leg with a correction. Push down, we got kind of a correction. So we got a leg down, 2 legs up and a leg down. It looks relatively clear on here. So we move up, we have 2 legs back, we move up. We move down, we have 2 legs up, we move down. So I'm guessing this is probably now going to reach the bottom unless, you know, people are trying to protect that area. But that looks quite clear, doesn't it? You can clearly see those legs. Some charts, they're quite clear. Others not so much. But that's the 1,000 tick chart. It's got twice the amount of detail that this has. So yeah, on the 1,000, we've come right back to that EMA, and now we're pushing down by the looks of things. So I think there's a good chance we break these lows, leg down, 2 legs up, leg down. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get anywhere near that EMA. We pushed up close to that midline and we came straight the way down. It's a full red bar, that. So this area for me is likely to get taken. Shame we couldn't get a second entry there. That would have interested me. There we go. So it does look like 2 legs down, doesn't it? And I'm guessing that's going to be close to a measured move. A little bit short. Yeah, we've still got that gap up there. Just quick looking at the daily, we've still got that gap there. So big channel down, 2 legs up. We may come down and fill that gap before we move much higher. All really that looks like to me is just 2 legs back to that EMA. So we've got a leg there and a leg there. So I wouldn't be shocked if this comes down and fills that gap, which is around about there. Where is that? So it's just below 740. So I wouldn't be surprised 2 legs up. Usually we'll come down and retest this area. So that that gap's at 740. So I mean, that's down here, that gap. Well, it's further than I thought. So it's hard to say, really. It may take a day, it may take half a day, it may take a week, it may not come down. But I'm guessing usually before price moves higher, I would expect that gap, because this is kind of the lowest point we've been since middle of September. And then obviously we've just broken that a touch. So, you know, we're bouncing all-time highs up here. So I'm guessing it's probably going to push up and test those all-time highs, but not before it may test the lows, or certainly may fill that gap. So I have to keep an eye on that. So that's around about 740, just below. Brandon, how you doing, buddy? So, I mean, we may end up seeing something slightly wider there. That actually doesn't look too bad. So, bang, measured move. Still amazes me how accurate these things can be. Sometimes they'll literally spin on a dime. That'll just touch there and reverse. I don't think it will, but NQ is getting slammed. Is it really? Let's have a look. Yeah, my gut feeling is we're going to have a very bearish day today. Yeah, it is, isn't it? So the NQ is very bearish at the moment, so that makes sense, doesn't it? Down, 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 we're falling, yeah. So, yeah, wow, look at that. So this could be a very bearish day today. Q is bleeding, it certainly is. So, yeah, see, I mean, a week ago, that would have been 80 points, 60, 80 points, wouldn't it? Because that ATR's a lot lower now. You know, I've got to say, I don't usually like that ATR higher, but when the ATR was around 4 to 6, volatility was a lot higher and there seemed to be more trades. Now, granted, if you have a losing trade, it stings that a little bit more, but if you've got a relatively good win rate and you can put up with the losses, I think it's definitely better to trade. Certainly, I think so, when it's a lot more volatile. You should have held. Trouble is, you never know. It's great hindsight, isn't it, when you've got it? But ultimately, you never know. You know, we're at that measured leg. You never know whether it's going to reverse. Just by looking on that daily tells me I think there's a good chance that we're going to come down, fill the gap, possibly even test those lows, which means there's a lot more red to come. I mean, that is kind of a really nice fitting channel, which you can't ignore, I don't think. Trouble is, sometimes when you get this bearish, it barely gets out of here before it drops again, so sometimes you just don't get a setup. Second attrition of the day. The only thing you've got to be a little bit careful of is there's a channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new low. So that technically is played out. Having said that, price does look very bearish to me. So my gut feeling is it's probably found the glitch in the news. So no more double alarms. Excellent. I didn't mind them, to be fair. It's just like a second reminder, isn't it? 2 measured. Yeah, we had a measured leg down. I think it was about here. I think it bounced, but it is going lower, or it looks like it's going lower. But it's you've still got to be a bit careful because it may trick you into doing that. Now there is a second entry short on the 1,000 tick chart, but I'm just sitting tight here because if you get another leg up, it's a bit of a short leg. It may work, but we got a leg, maybe a small break. It may not be, but look, yeah, we got a push up there with a break, so I'd expect a second leg at least. So I decided to leave that one. Not only that, the thing about trading that 1,000 tick chart is it may look bearish, but the trouble is you may expect this to push up to that EMA. A lot of times it will before we continue down, if that's the case. There is a second entry short there. You can't take that, in my opinion. If it's very bearish, sometimes it'll go down, but it's clearly congested and we didn't reach the EMA. Sometimes it doesn't make a stack of difference. But it just comes down. But from a trade setup point of view, it's too dangerous. That is a leg sideways, a leg, then maybe look for a short. But you still have to be careful because there's a channel there with a break. Sometimes it makes difference, other times it doesn't. So Someone's got trapped. It's too early to go short there. It may work, but in my opinion, it's too early. Sometimes the worst trades in the world still work, but we're pushing up, going sideways. You'd like to think we're going to push up a little bit higher. There's bound to be some people who take that trade there, but it's just it's floating in the middle of nowhere, really. Probably as we pushed up, we made 2 attempts to go lower, which haven't worked. So if we can get a lower high here, then that may interest me. At the moment, it is a leg with a break, and it may work beautifully, but you've got to be careful. What I will say is it does seem to have tested this here, which may help it. It may not. It's not looking too good now, is it? Just going to get an order here, just in case.
Order submitted.
It's going to have to be a failure now. No, I can't take that. It is a lower high, but it's just stemmed off that EMA, so that could change the dynamics. Took the fail second entry short and printed 5 points immediately. Still got to be careful here. If we can get a failure, he'll have a go. So we want a slightly bullish bar there, closing at that EMA for it to trigger, then hopefully come down. We have test in this area, so that's looking promising, but I don't think it's over yet, just yet. Maybe it will be now. It's just a bit risky, that, because it is a bit above that EMA. It's a shame.
Order cancelled.
So you're saying you got your points quickly, I'm assuming. You're out, are you? Yeah. So you took that, did you? Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, you'd expect that to get stopped out. And if it does that, chances are we're going to get a leg up to that EMA. So, and rightly so, obviously, it hit a bunch of stops there. I'm guessing that's probably some of it to trigger the... Yeah, I mean, it moved quick, didn't it? It's nice when that happens. Doesn't always, unfortunately, but it's... So, second entry long, possible failure. I'm not so sure at the moment. There is a possibility we may be going a little bit sideways here. I'm not so sure. Maybe not. Maybe a leg and leg, and maybe that will work. It's just something about it that's just not screaming at me at the moment. It's in the same range from yesterday. Yeah, we kind of are, aren't we? Like to think there's going to be a bunch of stops down here. There is a possible failure there. I'd like to see one push up and maybe a second push up. We've kind of come up to this area, which is where there may be a bit of support, and we've dropped. So maybe we do it a second time. There's a failure there. It's just something about this that's making me a bit cautious there. In case we come back up a bit higher. It is working, I think. Just something about this, I'm just thinking be careful, because it looks a little bit rangy to me. So it could come up for a second time. Ideally, I want to get into a short if it comes up here and test this area again. But it does look like it may work. But this, I just don't like this. It's not clear. That bar is kind of in the middle of this, and it looks to me like it's going to get stopped out. So you'd have, yeah, you probably wouldn't have got 2 points out of that. It's kind of right in the middle, this. For me, I'd like a leg and a leg and test this area again. So channel down, kind of a leg and a leg. To me, it's kind of like that. That's what I'm kind of seeing. So I'd expect this to push up a little bit higher. I'm not getting involved right in the middle of this because it is a little bit choppy here. And it's a bit trappy as well. The bearish bar there, it's risky. It's very risky. To be honest with you, 1,000 tick chart doesn't look so bad. Yeah, see the 1,000 tick chart, we've kind of had 2 legs down, 2 attempts to push up. In this short term, that doesn't seem too bad, just to the bottom. But I'd like to see it test this area really before I see this. This could be bottoming it. I don't know. It's got to be really careful here. It's a bit choppy. So if you took that there, same again, you may not have squeezed 2 points. Usually it's got to push through to 2 1/4 to get you full 2 points. Having said that, it is starting to look like it's slipping. You know, it kind of looks like it's falling off, but that's sometimes when it can turn up quickly. Possible wider. Yeah, I'm just looking. The trouble is, oh, there we go. Yeah, it's tipping, isn't it? It's the momentum starting to fall off. So that second entry did work. The trouble is, it also looked a little bit rangy. So sometimes if it is rangy, that would kind of be in the middle of this range and it could trigger your push up. But it did work. See, I do wonder sometimes where I get a little bit overcautious. Maybe I look into the detail too much. But what I do say is a lot of the times I say I don't like this, something doesn't feel right, it would have gone against me. So I think I'd probably still rather err on the side of caution than be a little bit careless. Making money, stay doing. Yeah, sometimes if it's not broke, why try and fix it? But it does look choppy. So trades like that can, you know, we've had that leg up. Trades like that can go wrong. It could have triggered it and pushed up. What I was looking for is a test of this area here before I considered going down. Now, if you look at that daily, it looks super bearish. Now, that's a relatively steep channel, so you wouldn't expect that to continue on like that for any long period of time. You'd expect it to flatten off a little bit. So that's what this may be. So the way this is fitting along here doesn't seem too bad to me. You know, we've pushed down, we've had kind of a couple of legs up, we're testing this line down. So this is starting to look like it might be the start of a continuation down. Still got to be a bit careful because we've had a break of the channel, 2 pushes down, so leg and a leg down to a matching low. So it could still, you know, push up a bit higher and catch you out if you wanted to go shorter. You can guess there's going to be liquidity around these areas, so sometimes it'll clear them out. Okay, interesting. So it's amazing how price works. See, we got that 3 bullish bars there. That one triggers, drops down. So maybe a second entry short. You've still got to be a bit careful because it could, you know, at the moment after the break, we've had 2 legs up and 2 legs down to a matching low. So it may continue down, or if it's going to push back up a bit higher, this is maybe where it may do it. So you've got to be careful not to get caught out. So possible second entry short. Is this a bit stacked? It is a little. See what happens here. It is a second entry short. Probably going to trap some buyers after 2 legs down, but you've got to be a little bit careful here. Let me just reload. I don't know if I've reloaded. Let me just reload. My 2 charts look quite identical. It is a bit choppy there, so it could backfire. Bear me a second. Draw a trend line from low. You on about here? So yeah, that triggered you and stopped you out. Bear me a second. So I'm not sure about that at the moment. It's certainly a possibility. Let's remove it a minute. You say draw a trend line from lower the bar at 858. Second entry short. You're on about that second entry short there. You're on about a little micro, aren't you? You've got to be careful around here. See if you took that second entry short, triggered you, stopped you out. You're on about there, are you? Tom. You've just got to be a bit careful because this channel has played out. We've had 2 legs up as a break and 2 legs down to a matching low. That's not 558. You said 858, didn't you? I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. I'm on a different time frame to you. 858. So what time are you? Where are you? Look, have a look on my chart, bud. Where is it on my chart? Can you see the numbers on there? Or are they a bit small? 2 legs up, big bearish bar. I don't think that's a bad trade. It's very tempting. I've hesitated a bit, but yeah. What I'll say is there's going to be traders in there. My only issue I have is it's a bit choppy, so you've got to be a bit careful. Bear me a second. Yeah, there's something about this that's causing me just to be a little bit careful. You're Texas, so okay, 1358. That's better. So 1358. You're on about there, aren't you? About drawing a channel there, yeah. Yeah. I'm just not sure about that. To me, it's just getting a bit choppy now. I part of me likes that, but part of me says be careful because it's very choppy here. We have had 2 pushes down to a matching low. Yeah, I think it's certainly got a couple of points. I expected it to get down below there because there's a failure there. There's a second entry short which triggers, pushes up, and then when that comes down, you expect that to get stopped out. The trouble is, how much space have you got? Not a huge amount. Certainly 2 points if you're getting on the nail, but it's a little bit choppy here. Now, with the best intentions, it is 2 legs up, and it certainly worked for a scalp and certainly worked for a 2 points. Hey, Ben, how you doing, buddy? But it's still risky around here, purely and simply because it's getting very choppy, and when it gets like that, it just makes the chance of a losing trade just that little bit higher. I like the fact we got a channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new high, bearish bar. And I think it would probably work down to the bottoms, but you've got to be a bit careful. Yes, if I look at my other 2000 tick chart, it looks even worse. You can see we've got a leg up sideways and a leg up, and you've got a bearish bar. It's probably going to come down, go a bit sideways, and then come down, I'm guessing. But when it is like this, it can be a lot more unpredictable. My gut says it's probably going to come down, especially now we've broken above that little bullish bar. But things can change quickly. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to draw this. We got a channel, 2 pushes up. That looks even nicer now. Clearly, I like that now. Channel down, leg and a leg. Bearish bar. Traders trapped here and here. Leg and a leg down. So that actually looked... Now it looks okay. I had it as a range at the moment. But this is starting to look like... it's still a little bit early. Trouble is, the less steep these channels are, the less reliable they are. Just going to miss that for a minute. Okay, so it did work that for 3 points. Sometimes you just got to take them. I don't think it's that bad now. I've got this channel down there, 2 legs down, 2 legs up. I think it's okay. Clearly made 3 points. Yeah, I kind of expected it to get to the lows. I didn't think it would drop that quite so quick. So you're bound to get traders going along there, and once that starts to come down, there's a lot of traders there that are probably buying at this area, which may cause that to have that quick little push. Nice in the end. Nice if you can afford to follow it down. There's 10 points available there, especially if you got a runner. Okay, so I think there is likely, maybe not. So what I would expect, the daily looked bearish as we discussed, so I think there's a good chance this thing's going to come a lot lower. But we need a bit of a pullback here really before we can think about getting in. It's a triple test. And about here. Yeah. Trouble is, I got two schools of thought here. One, it looked like a bit sideways. Two, there did look like a bit of a channel. Three, possibly a bigger channel. But the trouble is, if I was Mac coming to this chart now, I would go, oh yeah, two legs up there, beautiful bearish bar and a lower high, going to test. It's very easy to do it, but in real time, when you got different, possibilities. Same again there, we got that push down, second entry short. I actually think that was a good trade now I see it. At the time, I had it as a range and that was in the middle, but that's the thing, these channels and ranges are constantly developing. And at the time, they're not kind of always available to see. But now I can, now you can see we clearly got two legs. So we got a leg down there, two little pushes up, bearish bar. There's a good chance this is going to come down for that second leg, which is exactly what it did. And then we had two more attempts to push up in that bearish bar. I hesitated there because it's a little bit choppy in that. But, I think I heard Max say you can trade chop as long as you can read it. But I just hadn't, because we'd had a matching low there, I had a few mixed feelings there that maybe, maybe there's a bit of a range there. So, our bars like that, getting in a bit premature, they're going to trigger you and push up and test it. Ultimately, I had two lines up here. I was looking at testing this area twice. In other words, a more of a level correction before we get this second leg down. So that was my school of thought. And obviously, it's kind of ongoing, isn't it, when we, we kind of make these decisions. And we don't have kind of the luxury of hindsight, do we? Shame. It certainly would be a good skill for a trader. We can read the charts to a certain degree, but there is an element of it that you kind of got to find out as it, as it continues on. Ultimately, you never know. It very much depends how you're trading it in the short term. I think trades a little bit easier. I think it's a bit easier to predict short movements rather than, big swings. What I will say is the swing traders tend to have a less of a win rate, but they tend to win more. They got a better risk to reward. So they may only win 5 trades out of 10, but they may get 3 to 1 type thing. So we got a channel with a break. Let's see what happens here, because I still think there's a good chance this thing's going to go lower. Let's just put that there now. Trouble is, when it stacks up like this, it just makes that a little bit more riskier to get involved. So Dan's got that. I did it myself, but when we break out the bottom, so now there's always a possibility if it's fitting nice around the midline, it may be a 2-tiered channel. For me, Dan tends to mark these better. I'm a little bit more cautious because if you see that as a channel, maybe an overshoot. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Is there any other type of channel that we could get? Yeah, I'm not so sure, in all honesty. Could be from the channel, 2 pushes down, and then this thing moves up. I don't really know. See how price reacts to this. We're not quite there. Mike, what's it spazzed out? Excuse me a second. Camera's gone a bit funny. What has gone on there? Finally found me. I don't know what happened to where that went. Nice office. It's a spare room actually, and a messy one. It's kind of like a dumping ground. I think we're okay. Could have took you anywhere there. You could have seen my dungeon with all the whips and the stuff there. Okay. Did I shut that down? I don't know. It's still there, isn't it? Wilson. Me on the arm. That was a bit weird. Yeah, it's the camera's trying to follow me for some reason. I must have it set on some kind of, I don't know, weird follow me stuff. So, I'll have to set it to stop following me. It's just weird. I'm not sure about this channel. Let's see if anybody else has got something like it. Yeah, there's one or two got that. Neil, how you doing, buddy? There's one or two with that. The trouble is I don't like how it's missing that one completely. It may not be a massive issue. Afternoon, I mean, yeah, you're right, mate. Where are you, Neil? I'm guessing you're US, are you? I think majority of you are. A lot of you are, anyway. Oh, London. Okay, excellent. Shropshire, I am. We have had this conversation before, I think, haven't we? Shropshire, I am. At least it's warming up a little bit now. It's quite kind of nice out there at the moment. It's been a while since I've been down there, London. Got to be 10 years. Shropshire's lovely, yeah. It's a really nice part of the country. It's kind of nice and rural. You've got to be a little bit careful here. This can trick you into going short. There is a possibility of a spike in a channel there. I'm not sure whether I love it or not. Probably not. Yeah, I'd be careful going short here, I would. I don't know about that. I'm just going to remove it for now. Really, we've had this channel down with a break, 2 pushes to a new low. Now, if you look on the daily, it's looking super bearish, but that doesn't mean we can't get small pullbacks on the way down. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Maybe it is finding some support there. Trouble is, sometimes it does that and you think, yes, let's go short, and it triggers you, pushes you up, stops you out. Trouble is, if there is a little spike in a channel, that's the type of trade that'll get trapped. So I'm a bit unsure as to whether I think this thing's going to continue down. At the moment, we've had a channel with a break in the way, 2 pushes up and 2 pushes down. So I'm certainly thinking this is more bearish. If you look at the daily, that's what it's telling you, but you just never know. If you think, yeah, great, let's go short off here. Look what's happened. It's trigger here. Where's this thing going? Sometimes you just got to give it a little bit of space around this area. It's so easy to think, yes, finally we've bounced right where I wanted it to. Let's just jump in short. Triggers you, pushes you up, stops you out. So here it's a little bit choppy. Is it going to push up? Is it going to come down? Answer is we don't really know. That channel may be valid, but it's a bit too early. There's elements of it I don't like. Visually, it doesn't look terrible. I'd have preferred this to push up because ordinarily you would come off that kind of first swing, and that kind of would make sense, which means we've already had a break in a new low. So there's just so many variables around here, and it's easy to get it wrong. But it may come tumbling down from there. That channel just doesn't look right to me. It's just choppy. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity just to go and make a quick cup of coffee. It's just slow and it's boring the arse off me. So what I'm going to do quickly is just block off the camera unless it may get up and follow me. So, I mean, it's tempting. Looking on that other 2000 tick chart, you're bound to have stops here, so it may come down. But it's just exactly what it is. It's a maybe. Yeah, I haven't had my latte today, so let's just put this there, and let me just knock off the camera. Where are you? It's the camera. There you go. It might still follow me. Yeah, it's a bit hard to know what's going on, Sam. It's a bit choppier, isn't it? See, so God knows what it can do. Okay, I'm just going to knock that the camera off just quickly. I'm going to make a quick cup of coffee, and I'll be back in around about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, sorry I'm a bit late. I just had coffee machine problems. Right, let's get this camera back online. Bear with me a second. There I am. Sorry about that. I just bought a new coffee machine. Sorry, a new coffee bean. If anybody's got like one of those, I got one of those Sage Barista Pros. I think they call it Breville in parts of the UK. Whenever you change the bean, you got to dial it in. I forgot I changed the bean and it almost froze up. It was coming through like a trickle, so I had to mess around. Anyway, I haven't missed anything. We just got a bit of sideways, bit of chop. I mean, that volume is almost dead, isn't it? What's going on? Why is it just... Has anybody got any type of idea why this volume has all of a sudden just died off? Come on. I mean, Trump... I don't know. We need more volatility, Trump. Start speaking or start doing something. Just apply tariffs on somewhere else, for God's sake. We need some volume here. We're getting no trades. So, channel down break. I don't think there's a bigger channel down there, maybe, but I'm not massively convinced. And if there is, we've probably had a break of it. So I can't, if I can't get a channel I like, then I'm just not going to bother putting one at all. Let's have a flick through. Yeah, Thomas Wade removed his. A few people have actually, yeah, I'm guessing. It's really with a break, 2 pushes to a new low. I mean, we could still come down. It may just retest this area. It doesn't look like a channel up. In all fairness, it's too broad. I think it could be, but for me, I think it's probably 2 legs, maybe some range, maybe come down. I still think, based on looking at the daily, I still think we're due for a move down. The trouble is, a daily bar. I mean, we could sort of move up this sort of amount, and on the daily it'd be negligible because obviously bars never just go straight up or come straight down. They mess around, so we could get that type of movement and still a bearish day. Trouble is, when it's like this, it does make it a little bit more precarious. I mean, you may say channel break, 2 pushes to a new high. This may be where it pulls back, but we don't know that because it's just not clear. So it could end up being just one of those weeks where volume's low and it's just not making any sense. Just nothing you can do here, really. Could go up, could come down. Not a clue. I mean, we did break yesterday's lows. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll bounce. We could come down. It's just so hard to say at the moment. Can you speak now? Yeah, we need some. If anybody knows Trump or knows somebody who knows Trump or knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Trump, just get him to say something random. Doesn't matter what it is. Just something random. Just get him to throw some tariffs at somewhere. France will do anything. Pick anywhere. I think that visual long I took was okay. You went around here somewhere, did you? Two trades today, but market not easy. It's not, no. Can anybody shed any light why the volumes died off? I'm assuming the countries of the world still screwed up. Nothing's changed overnight, has it? So there is a big bearish bar here. I think that's vulnerable. So you may call this a failure, but the trouble is it's a bit sideways here. We could have a leg. We've had a move up. We could have a leg and a push up. We may hit support. The trouble is, what I found, the longer you trade, we've got all these little bits of information just processing in your brain in the background. And if the information that's coming back isn't clear, there's kind of no decisions you can make. You know, we need a certain amount of decisions to be in favour of a certain trade, and at the moment we're not getting it. But yesterday's low, everyone's waiting to see. So liquidity check below. We're moving much lower. Yeah, it's a tough one. See, if you look at the daily, now obviously it depends how you trade. I'm a price action trader. I think most of us are. And usually whenever you get a channel, I suppose all traders must kind of know this, but whenever you get a break of a channel, it often tests the lows or breaks the lows. And some of the best setups are in the case of a leg up, a little bit of sideways and a leg up, just a leg, you know, a leg and a leg, a correction, and then a bearish bar here. And if you don't like this one, maybe a lower high indicating we're coming down to test these lows or to break these lows. But there is a gap from a few days ago. Now, ordinarily, while we're down here, because I don't think if we can get above this, we'll be down here for a while. So I know what little I know about the mechanics of these markets is they do like to clear these gaps. So it is a leg up with a bit of sideways and a leg up. So if we can get something bearish here, I think there's a fair chance that this is going to fill that gap. And it's about 55 points just to the where the gap closes at its highest point. So there's a potential for a 50 odd point move down. Now, there's no guarantees in life, as we know. But if we do drop 50 points from currently where we are now, there's half of it. So the potential to take 50 points, and that takes us just to the top of where the gap is. There's a significant amount of move down that we could possibly get. So, I mean, this to me looks like it's trying to push up. Now, we have got some support along here, which you can kind of see. Let's kind of call it there. Makes sense. Bounce, 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 bounce. And maybe we're testing it. But I wouldn't be shocked if this thing takes a nosedive. But I don't know. And I certainly can't trade that. But just, you know, the longer you sit here day after day, year after year, looking at price, you generally get an idea or a feeling, gut feeling, intuition, whatever, based on, you know, we're clearly struggling to go high. In a lot of cases, people will just give up on this thing. But the way this is looking now, there is a failure. This thing could absolutely take a big drop. So unfortunately, I mean, there is possibly a failure. Trouble is, at the moment, price is above that EMA, and we do not know. I'm gonna have to. I went on your site last night, and it says video not available yet to figure out how to do this. I can't remember how to download add-ons. I'm pretty sure, don't you open NinjaTrader, then bin, and then something else, and then I'm not sure. Yeah. So I'm going to have a play around with it later. I definitely want to use them. I do like the idea of it. It just shows you the trade. It makes simple. It just saves you time. Now, there's a nice triple test there. Now, is that a bad trade? I don't think it's a bad trade. Do I want to take it? Not at the moment, but I don't think it's a bad trade. It's very tempting. But the trouble is, at the moment, you know what? I'm going to take it.
Order submitted.
I think it's a nice trade, so I'm going to take it. I know sometimes you can't be frightened of these things, but we have made 3 clear attempts. It is a little bit bigger of a risk than I wanted. But I think it's, well, I said I think it's worth it. Maybe not so much now. We'll see. We're clearly trying to get up, and we have had 3 attempts to push up, so I may put that down a bit lower. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you've got to take a trade. It is a triple test. We have come down. We've made a channel up here with a break. 1, 2, 3 attempts to push higher. So I don't think it's a bad setup. It is a triple test. Whether it'll work is a different matter, but we'll see. Let's have a whiskey just to take the edge off. Yeah, big move down. Multiple attempts to push up. No luck. I did just say I feel like this could have a big drop. So we'll see. Sometimes you see it, you've got to take it. Now all of a sudden it doesn't look so good. I thought for a minute it was going to drop like a stone, but there you go. Not always the case. Sometimes you just got to take them. If you see them, you've just got to take them. That was a 1,000 tick chart, yeah. Fingers crossed anyway. Usually this type of trade does clear out everything. Whether it will or not, I don't know, but we'll see. Trouble is, push up, 2 attempts to go lower, it could move higher. It's just hard to say, really. You got 2 points, did you? It is a triple test. Can't argue with that. This trade is on what accounts? It's on 19 accounts, not 20. I put it on 19 accounts. The one I can do a micro and take a payment tomorrow, so I've just decided to leave that one alone. Get below here, things should get a little bit easier. Trouble is, we may find some support here, so perhaps maybe I shouldn't be too greedy. It didn't reach 3 points anyway yet, so It's not pushing down as sharply as I would have liked. We'll see. Trouble is, 2 attempts to push lower, it could move up. There's always a possibility. Creating support down here. We have a little bit of a break above there, so Matt goes for 4 ticks, yeah. Trouble is, push up, 2 attempts to go lower, it could move up. There's always that possibility. Nothing's ever set in stone. But I like that setup, so I think sometimes it's just worth going for it. Sometimes they just take a bit of time. Bound to be some stops there, but
Order filled.
beautiful. Okay, so everything's shut. One is still showing. Let me just disconnect that one and then reconnect. Bear me just a second. I think it's probably likely going to go a lot lower. The trouble is, what I found, sometimes if you get a little bit greedy, it may go for 4 points and then come back and sting you. So sometimes you're best off just taking your profits. My only slight concern with this is, let me just get my chart back up normal, and I'll excuse me, I'll talk about it. Yeah, there's 2 accounts that I've missed that are due for a payment tomorrow. The only slight issue I have here is we've got a break here, 2 legs down, we're pushing up, and we've come up here, we've made 1 attempt to go lower, a 2nd attempt to go lower. So there is a possibility if buyers are buyers are protecting this area, this thing could push up. So sometimes if it's not super clear, then I think sometimes you're better off just taking your points. You know, it's nice to hold on. We all you know, dream of these setups where we may be lucky enough to get 20 points or something like that. That triple test the other day went for 24 points, just that first move down. But the only issue I have here is we got a channel down. We could 2 attempts to push lower. It may reverse and push up. It's a little bit unpredictable here. Now the daily is telling us we're bearish. But you know, ultimately when it is a bit like this, you never quite know what, you know, buyers or sellers are going to do. You know, leg down, 2 legs to a new low. You don't know if buyers are protecting this area. We've broken yesterday's lows. You know, if price gets down here, it came down here, we didn't get close to lows and it pushed up strong. So if it does, and I end up holding and getting a bit too greedy, sometimes it can, you know, it can catch you out. On this occasion, it's working okay. So, I mean, you can always do that or put it there and capture something. But what did I took 3 points, so it'll be 3 1/4. So, you know, it starts to go a bit sideways. Is it finding some support? Could it backtrack? Could it reverse? Now, what I think would have been a good idea, really, if it would have worked, to put it at 3 points. You've guaranteed yourself 3 points and maybe follow it down whenever the next bar finishes, and you may just get lucky. We may end up getting down here, you know, with a potential big move. But about 2 months ago, I took a loss. It was when I was trading 2 contracts, and I took another trade, and it was quite a big loss. So I decided to hold on and try and get me money back. and it went for about 3.75 points, came back and stopped me out. So taking a trade, now bearing in mind, I'm not taking this based on a loss, but sometimes taking a trade and just deciding to go for a bit more points can, it can go wrong. And at the moment, we've had the channel down, 2 legs up, 2 pushes down. We don't know where this is going to go. Is this going to turn and push up? So sometimes you just got to take your money and just not get a bit too greedy. That's the beauty of having a runner. Unfortunately, I only trade 2 contracts, and it just doesn't really work for me. It does look like, but we've come off here. We could make 2 attempts to go low, and this thing could absolutely rocket up like like anybody's business. What I will say is, if I had 20 accounts with $10,000 in, I wouldn't mind risking $168 for a potential big move. It is, it is working. So what's it gone down? 6-7 points. And you leave money on the table and get stopped out. It plays with your head. It does, mate. Yeah. I think sometimes you're better off just taking your money. If you see some setup that's exceptional, then, maybe if you're not in it for a massive risk, it's worth taking. There is one trade here, a triple test, that I was very tempted to hold on. I think I might have gone past it, haven't I? No, that was it there. So we had that leg down, 3 attempts to go over. That was an absolute pearler. That was when volatility was a bit higher. But if you got into that, just followed each bar down until you got stopped out, that's where you'd have got stopped out. You'd have got 26 points nearly. That's a huge move there. There are certain circumstances, but that was quite clear. We clearly came down. Now, if it's clear, then, the clearer these things are, the better decision we make. I mean, look how nice it fits. 1, 2, 3. You expect a second leg. But we've already had the channel with the break and the new low, so you never quite know what's going to happen here. For me, it's the opposite. When I used to take trades for max profit, when I get a loser, I get angry. For me, much wait for break even and go for way more points and get out of. Yeah, there's, I used to watch that. The gorilla trader, and whenever he had a correction, he would run it down to the lows, and he had a good success. Now, if I lost 3 points here, I've lost 3 points. But as opposed to gaining 3 points down to the lows, I could gain 3 times that amount for only risking the same. So in some instances, it's worth it. If I thought that the setup looked exceptional, I would take it. My only slight concern about this short is we've already made 1 attempt to go lower. So to me, it's a bit sideways. We could go 1 attempt to go lower, 2nd attempt to go lower and push up. I did like the setup. You can definitely say we're going to have trap traders there and possibly traders going long there. But once we get down to here, I've got to rely on the price won't get down here. And what I'll say is, whenever you do decide to hold, sometimes it comes out and bites you on the arse. Other times, when you don't decide to hold, you get a massive move. If we wouldn't have had this bit, if we'd have had the triple test here, then that would have been a move. Now, you could argue we did. For me, it's a little bit unclear, but if we'd have had this here, then I would have held on a little bit more. I've noticed when the third touch happens, at the end of the second leg, a lot of time the next move is very big. Yeah, it's surprising, Bud, when the longer you sit here and watch these charts, you start to see, things happen, and you start to think, so next time I see that. So there is circumstances that I will hold on, because I think sometimes it's good practice to hold on and try and maximize, maximize your profits. And that would have been a good example of it. I mean, look, there's, even if you're there now, there's a lot of points. The trouble is, seeing it, talking about it, and sitting through all that is very different. Once it starts to go sideways, that funny little head of yours starts to go, oh, is it starting to reverse? So it's just one of those things, isn't it? But the way I see it is I think that will come naturally. Now, I've made 3 months profit in a row. You could say 4. I took a bit in December, but 3 months profit in a row. My accounts are growing nice. If I continue to do that for 6 months, my confidence will be a little bit higher. If you can take money by trading carefully, regularly, every money out the market for 6 months, I think there's a fair assumption that you can trade and you can make money. And at that point, I think you get a lot more self-belief. And I think there are times then when you think, based on what I'm seeing here, I think it's worth holding on. Because, yes, I'm risking 3 points to make 3 points. But if I'm right, and if it looks like I'm right, the potential for making 3 or 4 times that, I think, outweighs the risk. So if you get out, let's pick somewhere in the middle there. Let's call it 11 points. Now let's call it 12 points. There's plenty of opportunities to get out here with this other bar. So you've made, theoretically, 4 times the amount of profit. So if I like taking 3 or 4 trades a week, I've done a week's worth of trading in one go. So on that by just going for way more points, 6 to 10 per trade. If I read it wrong, I don't care. Yeah. Do you know what? I would say what you're doing is absolutely right. Right for you. If it's how you work, don't let anybody tell you you're wrong. Now, sometimes you will lose trades, but overall, it's why I went from 1 point to 6 ticks to 2 points to 3 points. For me, it works. Absolutely. We're all slightly different. Now, you'll have a little bit more of a losses than me, but I think generally you'll make more money. But I think you have to base your decision on how do you feel about taking more losses. You know, if you don't like taking losses at all, stick to 1 point. If you're being sensible and finding somewhere around about the 2 to 3 points, I think that's the best bet. If you say, I don't mind losses, I'm playing the game, and the game is telling me going for 5 or 6 points is going to make me more money, you've got to do it. Yeah, it's another reason why I went for 3 points, because I consider 3 points as an average of 1 to 1. So 1 loss will recover by 1 win. Whereas if you're risking 3.5, 4 points and you go for a point, you've then got to win the next 3 trades in minimum just to get to break even. That is a soul destroyer for a new trader. I am surprised Mac hasn't traded that for newer traders. You know, I think personally he should, you know, readjust and say, look, if you're trading 1 or 2 contracts, go for 2 points. Which he kind of did. With some of the things he's been talking about lately, you wouldn't have guessed that, but I assure you, most of us here have heard Max say, if you can only trade 1 or 2 contracts, you've got to go for a little bit more, otherwise the numbers doesn't work. But you know, as we change and develop, and I've said this for a long time now, I think Mac doesn't show us his trades because he takes trades that don't necessarily follow his rules. Why? Because he can. Same with you, bud. You go for more points. Why? Because you're experienced enough to know that you're taking a calculated risk. And that calculated risk for you is your style of trading. And it works for you. So everybody's got to find their own way of doing things. Now, I had a conversation with Mac via an email maybe a year and a half ago. And at the time, it was probably a bit more. I said, I find it hard to go for a point, and if I take a loss, it cripples me. I said, what if I go for 6 ticks, but I put my order in 2 ticks back? So effectively, I'm still going for 4 ticks. I'm just putting a limit order back. And he went, yeah, you can do that. He said, sometimes, though, you miss the best trades by doing that. So that's something that you'll figure out in time. So he basically said, you can change and adjust as you get more experience. And I'm pretty sure if we all sat together in a room and had a beer with Mac and gave our different opinions, I'm pretty sure he would say, when you've had a bit of experience, you kind of follow your own way of doing things. No matter what we learn in life, we learn the basics and we find our own way of doing it. You know, I'm pretty sure you've got 2 carpenters that went to the same college that do things ever so slightly different. Yeah, I mean, you've obviously got to read the market, right? Now, you guys hear me sit here every day and talk about what I'm seeing and what I think's going to happen, and I'm pretty accurate. You know, a lot of the time we had a channel up the other day, and I said I'd avoid those first few trades because the chances are it's gonna. But I've learnt those things purely by losing trades. So if you're a newer trader and you're losing trades and you're frustrated, don't be, because you're getting pure gold by losing them trades. You're getting pure gold. I tell you now, you're learning the best lessons in the world, firsthand. And those are those lessons that if you stick at it, that are going to make you a nice income and give you a lot better life. But, you know, Mac has said to me in that email conversation, when you get experience, you'll find your own style. Someone's style. I mean, even experienced people like Dan and Marco that have been doing it considerably longer than I have still only go for 6 ticks. It works for their, you know, like Mac. You might ask the question, if Mac's been trading for 28 years, he's clearly a successful trader. Why are you only trading 20 contracts? Because he admits to himself that the mental game starts to affect him. And it's a strong-minded person to admit when they may be on their limit rather than, you know, just going for more points. And for Dan and for Marco, 6 ticks for them works. And you can never tell them they're not doing the right thing. If it works for them and they make money, then that's the way they got to do. If I said to Dan from now on, take 3 points, I'm pretty sure it would change how he trades. It would certainly give him a lot more stress. And if you're making money and having a nice lifestyle here, why change things and add a load of stress? So if you just rode that one to the lows, is that where I got in yet? Then you would be up 10 points. That would be over 3 trades to me. So sometimes it's worth holding on. If you're reading the market, there's just a little bit of questioning about some sideways here. My worry was we've got a leg up. We've broken the lows. We could do this and then we could do that, which might mean we break above there, you know, shoot up. But it is a triple test, and I bet you pounds to dollars, Mac will mark that as a triple test. Now, sometimes if I think price is going up, I'll avoid that, and I'll see loads of other traders taking a nice bit of profit. So I just, you know, you adjust your trading, and it's like anything. You never stick with the same channel. You move it, you adjust it, and you develop it. It's exactly the same with your trading. Personally, I do not care for Mac. With more experience, you can read the chart way better. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm always going to be grateful to the guy who charged me a very, very small amount. But you know, at some point, you've got to stand on your own 2 feet and make your own decisions. And you can't come into this space after training for 2 months and say, I don't like what Mac does, I don't like this. But when you've been trading 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it may be, and you understand price, then you can say, I appreciate the guy, but personally, what he does doesn't work for me. You're perfectly entitled to do that. And I agree. Evidently, this video is a few days ago when he started making trades and explaining why to take a trade based on, taking the heat. Yeah, it was that one he was showing the guy, wasn't he? Taking heat. The thing is, you know, sometimes the best trades in the world, they do take a little bit. I mean, that did. It came back, didn't it? It came back nearly halfway. Yeah, I was surprised. Was it 3 or 4 days ago when Matt was talking? He was adamant this only works if you take 1 point. When 3-6 months ago, he was saying if you take 1 to 2 contracts, you have to go for more points. The numbers don't work. Now, if you sit in front of these charts every day for 2 years, you will know when you take these trades, 19 times out of 20, they all go for significant more points. Now, I would say if you took a trade 19 times out of 20, at least it would go for over 2 points. So if you're going from 1 point to 2 points, you're making 100% more profit. If it happens once in every 5 times, it's still worth taking. But sometimes an absolutely awful trade will make you a point and it will lose you. But, you know, we're all learning here to be good traders, not to continue to take shit trades. Once you've been doing this, I would say a few years, you need to be starting to make your own decisions. You use what you learned from Mac just to kind of keep you grounded, just to learn the basics. The rest purely comes with experience. Someone should get Mac on the podcast. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we had I understand why Mac might do why he might do it, because he tries to teach people the basics. The trouble is, from a guy who's had 4.5 years experience now, remembering what it was like the first time I signed up to Mac, feeling so inferior that I wasn't seeing a dozen trades a day, frustrated me. So from that side of it, as seeing it from a bit more experience than from a bit beginner, I found it daunting that why am I not getting this? Why am I not seeing all these trades? When, you know, once you've been doing it a while, you realise you don't see a lot of those trades until the end of the day. And Mac will say he takes 2 to 3 trades a day. Now, if Mac saw a dozen high probability trades a day, he'd be a fool not to take him. Anyone would be. Ugh. There was an article a while ago, I think, with his real name loosely talking about trading. Interesting. McCulloch, isn't it? Ken McCulloch, his real name is. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. And I'll always say this. I'll always, if anybody ever talking about who would you suggest, I'll put them on to Mac. Why? Some of his teaching methods, when you get a bit more experience, might not be how we do it. But to have a full-time trader to teach you to trade for $125 a year is someone who is generally trying to help people and someone enjoys it. So you've got to respect someone who does that, because there are that many, you know, charlatans in this business who will happily take your money and you won't get no value in it. A lot of the times they charge you these amounts of money to make money and they're not making it trading. So I'll always be grateful for him for taking me from working on a building site to spending 3 hours a day sipping single malt and talking to you fine people. So for me, he's helped me out. Now, I might not agree with certain ways he does something, but that's all part of learning. But I don't agree with. There's nothing wrong with that, mate. There's nothing wrong with liking someone, but disagreeing with certain methods. Nothing at all. You know, I mentioned this a while ago when someone said, I insulted him. I had an argument with someone on I was part of the forum, and he was saying, you were slagging him off. I went, no, I wasn't. I was just saying, I wish he wouldn't show that many trades because I found it daunting when I started. We ended up having a big row in the end. And then I think it was Eric came in and stopped the conversation, but I felt quite good because I had the last word. So, but don't get me wrong, I would love to have a conversation with Mac. I'd love to have a beer with him and get inside his head. Yeah, there's you know, some people do, some people teach. That's a comment off some film, is it, I think. And Wade learnt off Mac, seems to remember. Yeah. I think Dan's doing Dan's got a website. I think it's not far off already. But I know I talk about Dan a bit, but I've been trading Mac's price action now for a couple of months off 4 years, and I've always liked what he's had to say, and I've always liked his charts. They seem to make it very clear to me. He helped me once. He said a comment to me once and it changed a lot of the way I was trading, because I was trading patterns. I was taking second entry longs in a downtrend and stuff, and he said something to me which stuck in my head, and I noticed from then on things changed. Someone sit with him and chat. He is so private. Yeah, I'd love him. I think any of you guys, because he's on about retiring, isn't he? In fact, yeah, look at this. My chart now, Max. Sorry, Dan. When did he put that? 4 minutes ago. So he's looking at the same thing as well. So that's encouraging. It would be nice for him to do a live stream, maybe once a month, just for an hour, just so people could, chat to him, or just once in a blue moon. I know he's on about retiring in the next, I don't think it's long, 2 to 3 years or somewhere around that there, but it would be nice to get to know him a little bit, because, as you say, he's very private. You can find him on Facebook if you search hard enough. He doesn't look like you would expect him to look. Another chat. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Live trade with Mac. That would be awesome. Someone should message that saying, look, before you retire, just do a series of live streams once a month over the, once or twice a month over the last 6 months, and just engage real time with people. People love to see that. About this. Yeah. Most of you guys know if I take a trade, I rarely take another one. So I've got to have something that absolutely jumps at me. Sometimes we've got a channel there with a break. We have bounced off the midline. This channel works quite nice with a midline. Then when you have that big drop there, I think, yeah, there's a fair chance it's going to come down. If I ever take a trade, I wait for one to literally jump out and wave at me. It's got to be that good. But it does look like a bear flag, this thing. I think by the end of the day, we're going to be down here somewhere. I really do. Now, usually when we have a spike in channel, often you'll have a drop out the bottom. So the daily, let's have a look at the daily. That should, too many arguments, think he deserves a quiet life. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right, actually. Okay, this daily is looking like I expected it to look. So we've got that big move down. We've got a leg up and another leg up. I don't think that's a channel, because we push up, we go sideways, and we push up. Now, normally with a channel like this, you'd expect to retest the lows. More importantly, my gut tells me that that gap is going to be filled before we go any higher, which means it's going to take us down even just to the top of the gap, another 54 points, which is significantly lower from where we are now. So 54 points. Yeah, so around that sort of area. So what I'm going to do is just put that down, a little line down there. Now, obviously I don't know that for sure, but sort of common sense tells me it's more likely. I mean, this thing is looking kind of super bearish at the moment. I think it's prime for a big drop. Now, that is what I would call an educated guess, but that's about it. So let's just call that the top of the gap. What time is it? Okay. Did it do that? I'll put that down there just in case we forget it's there. Yeah, I mean, we tried, but I mean, look, I mean, look at the potential if you had the nerve to sit through all this. See, now we're seeing this. That actually looks a bit nicer. The trouble is, you can't jump in a trade and kind of have an indefinite profit target. Really, you've got to set some kind of target. Otherwise, what do you do? But I mean, the potential. If we do get down to this area down here, this gap, I mean, the potential for a huge move. I mean, at the moment, we've got 15, 16 points quite easily, but you never quite know what's going to happen. The end of the measured moves, very good. Yeah, so you got this leg down, little correction there. You may even call that channel break, 2 lows. There's the correction, and then down again. So, we may even, I think it's irrelevant to a degree anyway. That would be my first target. But, this move down, correction, probably from there, I would say. But if we get down this low, it would make sense on that daily. If you've got traders going along there, sometimes it'll clear this area out. Now, the beauty about clearing, if you're buying here, the beauty about clearing this area out is you'll fill that gap as well on your way down. But a leg, sideways leg, but nothing's ever set in stone. But this, to me, after this big move down, is likely to fill that gap. Now, if you decided to run that down from there, you would have the ideal place to put it there to make some profit. So, I suppose your natural place to put your profit, to put your stop will be there. So you've guaranteed yourself 7 points with the potential to make significant more. So if you know what you're doing and you're confident, the trouble is, what I find sometimes as a price action trader, I don't spend a lot of time in a trade. And, when I first learned to trade, the guy said to me, I said, what do? I said, do I swing trade? Do I kind of intraday trade, or do I scalp? He went, you'll kind of find the way that works for you. Some people are quite methodical thinkers. They're quite calm. They look at the bigger picture. They may suit better swing traders. Other people might have a short attention span. They like things done quick. They want to get in, get out, get the job. That's pretty much me. So certain styles of trading suit certain personalities, and my personality is to a degree, I'm a rusher. Now, when I was working on a building site and I was learning to bricklay, I was constantly told to slow down. I'm trying to rush. I'm trying to keep up with everybody else. Now, it wasn't the fact that I was trying to keep everyone up with anybody else, because I'm quite a wired person. It was just my natural rhythm. So when I slowed down, I almost felt like I was working in slow motion. But once I got a bit of experience, people loved to employ me because I fired bricks down, like you wouldn't believe, just because of my kind of personality. So, this type of trading for me suits me. I don't like being in trades long. Maybe that's just me, or maybe that's, people in general. But if you were going to take that would be the best place really to put them stops. If we get another pullback, then, follow it down. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I think this may be just something like that with a correction. And then that actually makes sense now. That channel makes sense. A spike in channel with a correction and then down. So I would say I would probably be inclined to move that to there now. That looks like a nice correction. We did come back and test it, but I don't think we broke above that. No, we didn't. So whether you put your stop, but that one I think really was the line in the sand. It actually worked really well. Trouble is, when you take a trade, you don't know it's going to do that, so you're kind of itching to get out of it. But looking at that now, it's kind of super clear, isn't it? So I would say So where are we now? Are these 5 or 10? So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 35 points from this measured move, which will fill that gap on the daily. Now we're at the lowest point for 6 months easily. So whether this still continue much lower, I don't know. Actually, we're clearly hitting this area. I think it'll fill the gap, maybe get down here, but I don't think it'll get down to the lows before it moves on its merry way. But look at this now. If you looked at a daily, you'd be thinking shorts, wouldn't you? So you know, you have to pay attention to that. So I wouldn't be shocked if that gap's filled by the end of the day. I do like making these predictions because it helps me understand. It helps me sort of get to grips with, do I actually understand what I'm looking at? I don't do it, you know, to try and look clever. I do it because that's how my brain works. I just talk about what I'm seeing and what I think's going to happen, because obviously when you get used to reading charts, you get a better understanding of where they go. Yeah, see if you could sit through this. I mean, look at the potential. Now, a week ago, that would have been more than double that. So the beauty about having multiple accounts, I'm up just under 3,000 for the day, so that's lovely. I would have been up another 300 if I would have taken those trades from those two past accounts, but I want to withdraw 500 each from those tomorrow just because I want to hit that 10,000 tick chart. I spent £100 on a bottle of single malt a couple of days ago, so I spent that. And how I mitigated with that price to buy it for my wife was the fact that I'm going to hit $10,000. So I won't be worthy of it if I don't. In the bottle of whiskey, absolutely. It's surprising the skills you learn when you're married. My wife said, how much was that? And I went, £95. I expected her to have heart failure, but she went, my wife likes to drop a single malt now, unfortunately for me. I tried to get her to try it a bunch of times, and she pulled her face until the time when she stopped pulling her face. So sometimes these things are best, woof. Sometimes these things are best left. Why is this doing this? Finally, Trump speaking up again, is he? Well, look at that, straight down that measured move. So I love that. Look at that. I mean, look at that. It don't get any better, does it? Love that. Bounce twice and up. So why did that do that? Why did we get two big bars like that? You may say somebody said something in the news, but I mean, that could be the case, but really all we did was have a break and push down to the measured move. So I don't know. There is a higher low there, but that would just be guessing it's going to come back up. It may trigger and come down and test this again, in which case stopping that one out again. So, I mean, it is a big bullish bar off there, so it may work, but it's not something that interests me. I've been trapped there more times than I can care. There you go, see? More times than I can care. But you can see buyers there and buyers there. Triggers you come straight down and stop you out. I still wouldn't be surprised if it comes up the EMA, but looking on that daily, I mean, if you, from a price actions point of view, second entry short, clearly 2 legs up after a trend. This is a trade we'll be looking to go short on, or at the bare minimum look for a lower high. But yeah, it is frustrated. Took the higher low, triggered you, came back, stopped you out, and then look, looks like it's pushing back up for that EMA. It is frustrating how it does that. You know, they say, don't take it personally. The market's not out to get you. I disagree. It's out to pick off easy liquidity, and easy liquidity spells inexperienced traders. So my argument is the market is exactly out to get you. It's looking for weak positions to take out, and weak positions equals inexperienced traders. Now, whether that's just a load of bullshit or a story or a line, I don't know. I don't know enough about the mechanics, but just the way I kind of read what goes on, why things do things for a certain reason. That's my kind of take on it. So on my other 2000 tick chart, there's a second entry short. Would I take a short here this far from the EMA after? No, I wouldn't. So I'd expect that to get stopped out. Now we do know, we're looking at the daily, there's likely to be a very bearish day on the daily, but triggering that, stopping that out, you wouldn't even notice that on the daily. So my guess is that far from the EMA, chances are we're going to trap some shorts there. These guys are late to the party, so for me it's going to push up. It may not, but what I kind of do is, if I take a trade now, is do I think it's going to win or do I think it's going to lose? And that for me is more likely to lose. But there again, you've got a bullish bar there that's triggered, so maybe it might do the opposite. But this far from the EMA, I wouldn't get into a short. So I'm just wondering whether there is a part of a bigger this is where it freaks me out, having a curvy monitor. No, I'm not sure about that. So I expect this to get back to the EMA now for sure. So stopping out there, legging a leg up. Whether it's going to come down or not just yet, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty bearish looking on the daily. So back to the EMA, taking out liquidity here specifically. Unless there's some sort of other channel there, you never know. I wouldn't take a short there again. Too risky. Didn't trigger anyway. so far in real terms, it's such a big distance from the EMA that is for a safe trade. So it's just too far. I'll be surprised if this doesn't come up and take that out. But it is two little pullbacks, and if it's very bearish, it may not. For me, though, to push further, really, if you're going to short this further, your shorts are going to be above there for sure. You don't really want to get into a trade here with lots of liquidity sat waiting. I might stop early, rarely do. Yeah, I'm going to finish a bit early today, if that's what you mean. I mean, if you had the balls to hold on there, I mean, look at that, down to that measured move, 30 points. 3 days ago, that would have been double that. So, leg up, still could come down this. Not until it clears out all this liquidity here. There's some there, maybe a bit there. So for me, that's got to push up above this line before I think there's going to be enough buyers in there to push this lower if this is where it goes lower. It is a leg and a leg up, but it's got to push above there, I think. That's too far from that EMA. It needs to be cleared. So that's gone. What I might do is I'm going to get rid of all my channels now. So I'm not going to trade anymore. I may shut that down. Just trade this one new one 160 if we get something good. Let me just check it's the only one that's going to open.
Order submitted.
Yeah, I'm not trading the rest of them now. I'm happy with where they are.
Order cancelled.
leg and a leg. I don't think that was a bad trade. I was going to look for a limit order, but I don't think it's going to come back.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
Yeah. Could get it on a limit order. Just not sure though. Just trying to see if there's something slightly. Trouble is, we could, I don't know, we could push up to this area before this thing goes any lower. If it does, it's 2 legs back. That bar doesn't look too bad. The other bar on the second chart does. Clearly 2 legs. I much prefer a lower high. I'm just trying to think, are we likely to get significant buyers in here? Sure. So I'm not sure how you manage a trade. Since you're going for 2 or 3 points, do you go for break even after? No, I don't, bud. Or are you all in nothing? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll get out a bit early if it starts to go a bit sideways, but usually I go for 3 points. If you're a max trader, if you look back at some of Mac's old trading and teachings, most of the time you would trade the signal bar with a tick above, tick below, and you would have comfortably under 2 points. That doesn't really exist anymore. So I go for more points. So about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, I started to go for 2 points. And then maybe 5 or 6 months ago, I started going for 3. I just, when you take good setups, that they work and work well. I think this was a good setup. I take it early, triple test, but look at the potential. Now, if you're taking a point there, in my opinion, that's it. It's sacrilege. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't always work, but if you read the market right and you see a triple test, to take such a tiny amount of profit, risking 2 or 3 times that, in that case, maybe even been a bit more than that. For me, I don't want to do it. So that's actually not a huge risk there, to be honest with you. But for risking 3.5 points to make a point is madness, in my opinion. So I go for 3 points because for me, sometimes going for 5 or 6 or 8 points, less likely to win it than going for a couple of points. But it's very close to 1-to-1 majority of the time is going for 3 points. And I kind of like the way a winning trade kind of cancels out a losing trade. So it's finding what suits you. Now, chat with a couple earlier here goes for 5 or 6 points. And if it works for you and you don't mind taking the odd loss and you've done the numbers and it's still more financially beneficial, you've got to do it. So it's about learning from Mac, getting the basics, and then as you kind of progress and you learn and you start to get a bit consistent, it's about finding and feeling your own way and, what suits you. You know what I mean? So, uh, yeah, it's kind of it's what I would say is if you're a max trader now I'm not going. If you're paying to be taught by Mac, I don't really want to go behind Mac's back and saying I think he's this, I think he's wrong. But just from my point of view, I think 2 points is a good starting point personally. It's stacking up a bit here, so it's hard to know what's going on. My overall thought process, that's the daily, is this is bearish channel down. Now, if you were looking at a 2000 tick chart, there's no reason why it wouldn't look the same as this. If you like the channel and we've had a break and a big bearish bar here, I go for 6 ticks. Okay, let's correct that. 6 ticks for me is the starting point. Because it's still 50% more than going for 4 ticks. And I know Dan and Marco, I think Marco goes a little bit more from time to time, but let's call that the starting point. But everyone's got their own kind of risk tolerance. To people, they don't mind taking the losses. They'd rather go for a few more points. Then that's, I think you need to make these decisions based on how you deal with, how the markets work. If you're going for 6 points, great. When you win, you're going to make a good bit of profit. But when you lose a little bit more, that may mentally affect you. But if you can put up with the losses and you're confident in your ability and you play the numbers, the one thing in this side of business is the maths doesn't lie. If you look back enough times and work out, you'll know which is more profitable. Now, the one thing that I do that kind of throws that out the water is I've done the numbers based on me going for 3 points every time. Sometimes I'll come out a bit early when I probably shouldn't. But, it's kind of how I do things. And as long as you're making money, there's no perfect way of doing things. You need to, get a bit of experience and then kind of find out what suits you, how your risk is. I've got no issues with people getting in and taking 1 point. If it works for them, if they're at their most calmest and relaxed, and it works for them on that side, then do it. I don't think you're wrong. It's kind of how we all find our way in whatever walk of life we choose. We all kind of do things. You could do exactly the same job as someone else, but use quite a different method to do it. But I think from my point of view, 2 points is a good starting place, and good setups go for considerably more, so they will easily get you 2 points. Now, as a newer trader, sometimes you'll go for a point and you'll get lucky and make a point, whereas you won't get 2. And you may consider that a better option for going long, for going for a point. All I say is it's probably because you got a bit lucky. And a lot of times when I took trades that won, even, some of my earlier streaming days over 2 years ago, a lot of those trades I look at now, I wouldn't take now. So, there is an element of luck. Sometimes, the dice tend to roll your way. But it is, it's a journey, this, and you'll kind of find your own way of doing things. It's really stacking up a bit now, isn't it? Do I think this is going to break the lows? Leg and a leg. I think eventually there is a failure there, but failures are nicer if you're trapping some significant buyers. And if there was a nice big strong bull bar there, I'd say there's a good chance we're trapping longs there and this may come down. I think it probably will. But I'm just sitting tight here, I am. super slow, isn't it? What time is it? I'm going to finish in a minute, I think. It's good to have an early day once in a while. 2 hours 45. Clocks go forward in the UK on early hours of Sunday morning, so we'll be back more in line. That one there was, I marked it, didn't I? There. Short, we had 2 legs down, channel break, new high. For me, that was coming back to the EMA, so that was just that one. So channel, 2 legs up, new low. You know, we're on this measured move. We are struggling to get up, so I think it's actually not that far away. I think before this thing pushes up any higher, it's going to fill that gap. So there's the top of the gap. We're now only 35 points away. It was 50 odd when I looked last, so it does look like a really good second entry short, really, doesn't it? And you know, the daily works just the same as the 2000 tick, the hourly, whatever, but it's push up, sideways push up. You have longs taking this, and sometimes it'll clear this out. Whether it gets to that far down, I certainly think it'll fill that gap, just purely and simply because we haven't been this low since the middle of last year. So I'll be looking at the price with curiosity later just to see if it did. Trouble is, before that comes down, it could push up. It could push up some more before it eventually works its way down. Actually, that didn't look too bad. So 2 legs up. We may push up a little bit more and connect with this line. You may even say a triple test or something. It kind of would make sense. If this is a channel, this is kind of where you'd want it to connect with before it pushed lower. That's if it is. It may not be. It's not the best channel in the world, but it strikes me as it's tried multiple times to get up. The daily is telling us we're coming down. So for me, that's kind of what I'm expecting. So I think I'm going to finish, ladies and gents. I've been going for 2 hours, 10 minutes. I've had some longer days. I'm up nicely today. So I've got a couple of bits to do this afternoon. I've got a couple of wires coming so I can start managing these cables. They're just hanging from every orifice at the moment. So I will leave you guys there. So have a great day. Fingers crossed. You're welcome, mate. Thank you, Karina. Fingers crossed. Have a good day. It's not turning out a terrible day today. I think this will come down some more, so you may get something. You're welcome. So have a great day. Have a good evening. Stay safe, and we'll catch up tomorrow, which is Thursday, I believe. Yes, Thursday. So I'll leave you guys to it. Take care.